Good evening. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Donatas Karas from Practica Capital, founding partner of Practica Capital. And today, I'm super happy to do this talk with Juozas from Atrandi and David from Lux Capital. We're going to talk about the latest round we've done, right? It is a milestone. It is a milestone for Atrandi. It is a milestone for us also, being one of first investor in the company. I served on the board. I'm still serving on the board of the company. So this is kind of exciting moment. And today we're going to have guys talk about that. We're going to touch why, how, when, and what we're going to do with money. So stay in, and it should be a very interesting talk. Good evening, gentlemen. Great to have you here.
Good evening and good morning here from Menlo Park, California.
Fantastic. International call. We're doing it over the ocean. Fantastic. So here we have, right, David Young from Lux Capital. David, it's amazing to have you, right? And very good that we're talking business, not just plans, visions, things like that, but we're talking business. And very happy to have you as an investor in Atrandi Bio. We have Juozas, CEO and a founder of Atrandi Bio, and Juozas probably introduced himself, but as Juozas says, this is a center of biology, and he is rocking it, in my opinion. So let's hear. We'll listen today. What are you gonna say about that? But gentlemen, welcome. Very happy to have you here.
Really happy to be here.
It's a pleasure.
Maybe we start with David, with you, right? A couple of words about yourself and definitely about Lux Capital, right? For informed audience, I think there is no need of introduction to that. But as we probably gonna have some listeners from Baltic region, from Lithuania, this name might be heard, but not that very well known. So please do the honor and please introduce yourself and Lux Capital for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe I'll start with a bit of background on Lux Capital. So, my friend was asking me how to best describe the firm, and I thought, we invest in time machines. I thought was a good way to put it. If you think about our focus as a firm, so at a high level, we've founded about 23 years ago, started originally in New York City, and then built out into Menlo Park. So now we have 2 Eagle offices. Today, managing about over $5 billion across a number of different funds, and currently investing out of our ACE fund, which is $1.2 billion for combined early stage investing as well as later stage growth rounds. One of our core beliefs is that one of the greatest moats a company could have is technology. If you have a superior technology, and that is highly defensible, and that can create an enduring business. So we take that thesis into a number of different areas. So you'll see that we've invested across companies in aerospace, in defense, machine learning and AI, which we've been doing for now over a decade now. And finally here, most relevant today is life sciences. Anything from hardcore biotech companies developing novel therapeutics to core infrastructure that really empower the entirety of the ecosystem by allowing us to do more with less and bring on new discoveries with companies like Atrandi. In terms of our focus, typically early stage is where we really started. So we love backing founders at the earliest stages, whether it's spinning out of a company or it's an idea behind a piece of paper. And we're also global, whether it's a company across the street here in Menlo Park or all the way out in Lithuania. We've been quite excited to venture off the global stage. I've been at Lux for about a year now, and here everybody's a generalist at Lux, but really I'm passionate and excited and focused on the life sciences sector. It's part of where my background is. I originally started as a computational biologist over at the Broad Institute, where actually one of my favorite parts about it was that we could play around with new tools and instruments that come out, and could see all the way from the revolution of DNA sequencing, single-cell RNA sequencing, which we'll talk about today. Moved into the investing side shortly after that. Spent about 4 years investing in various life sciences companies and also incubating companies at 8VC. where part of that I co-founded Lattice Bio, gene therapy company focused on neurological disorders, and about a year ago joined Lux Capital to continue backing transformative life sciences companies like Atrandi and beyond.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot. There's probably I can say that I have two fantastic nerds of life science here, right? Today talking with me. So really, really excited about that. Josas, you are a bit more known, at least to the local public, right? But still, it's a long path from beginning of Atrandi. So couple minutes, right? Just give us a background of Atrandi, give us a background a little bit of you, right? And how you ended in this spot today.
Yeah, so I'll start from the other end. I'll start from myself and then kind of transition to Atrandi, because I think it's, the company was founded a very typical way in academia. There were 5 of us, 5 co-founders, and my journey was pretty typical. I was doing a PhD studies in life sciences in the laboratory of Professor Linas Mažutis, and he was really pushing the boundaries of what's possible to do in science in terms of gathering a lot of data for as little amount of work and money as possible. So really kind of high throughput research. And that was actually more than 10 years ago as of today. So quite a while ago. And it was this entrepreneurial moment where we saw our technology that was developed in Linus's lab really taking off, people wanting to collaborate with us. And we thought, hey, this is how business starts. People want to buy your product, or at least collaborate with you. So a very naive idea. Only scientists can come up with that, I think, or people just finishing high school. But nevertheless, we founded the company quite a while ago. I think if we're truthful to ourselves, we're kind of trying to figure out our path for a couple of years there, identify the problems that we want to solve, and we founded the company actually under a different name that might be known to some people in the Baltic ecosystem, Droplet Genomics. That was the name of the company initially. Now we're Atrandi Biosciences, which I think fits what we do much better. For those who do not speak the local language, Atrandi means you discover, and it really captures the mission and the vision of the company. So at the core, we're a life sciences tools company, which means that we develop a workflow product that consists of hardware, consumables, so reagents in other words, and data analysis software. And what we do is we enable people to take their biological sample, be it tumor biopsy, wastewater, or even a plant in agricultural context, and from that biological sample, get as much data about it as possible. And this is kind of where we come to the century of biology, which is our fundamental belief that the most exciting progress in the 21st century will really come out of better understanding of the biological systems that we as humans are and the natural world that surrounds us.
Fantastic. I still have some old merch, right? Droplet Genomics. Right?
Yeah, that's why I'm referencing. Yeah.
Very cool. Thanks guys for interest. I think we can jump straight into the question, and exactly, Josas, I'm going to continue on what you said, right? So about the trend and what you guys are doing. So this whole round which happened, right? We've been circling around this kind of SPC technology, right? And kind of you positioned it as breakthrough in single cell analysis. So what it is exactly? Explain that in simple words, just for us to understand what.
Right. So maybe without getting too technical, if we look at where the field is right now, we will see that there are kind of 2 buckets of tools. You can go for high throughput, so you can do a lot of measurements, a lot of samples per time unit. That's what is kind of the definition of high throughput. Or you can do a highly complex measurement. So you can take one sample and go very deep, do sort of from one end, from another end, gather a lot of data of different modalities. And researchers are really forced to choose between, do you want a lot of data or do you want deep data on few samples? And then we looked at this problem and we asked ourselves, why is that the case? And the answer is pretty simple. It's the underlying technology stack that defines this. And if you look into sample preparation or liquid handling, and for people who haven't seen laboratory in action, is just really you move liquids from one tube to another. There's not much more to it. And there are different ways to move and handle these liquids. And this is where I'll stop being too technical. And we just innovated on ways to move these liquids around. And at the end of the day, we have a semi-permeable capsule, or SPC technology, which delivers both the throughput and the complexity of measurement. This is why we're not afraid to use the words like fundamental breakthrough, because we really enable better and different way of measuring biology. And I think in the current context of artificial intelligence, large language models, there's more and more understanding that data is key, and not only the amount of data, but the quality and the complexity of data. And so this is why our innovation really comes at the right time in biology. At least that is our thesis. Time will show if we're right, but we're very excited.
Classics in technology field says that you need to be at least 10 times better than your competition, or what is kind of the current technology. So how you stand on that? Are you 10 times better?
Yeah, I think the way we see it, it's a 0 to 1 kind of innovation. We enable things that were simply not possible before in terms of measuring really complex measurements on really many cells or many samples. So it's really a fundamental shift in what's possible. And when we talk to key opinion leaders in the fields, they're always amazed. They come up with these amazing ideas, and it's something we never even could have come up ourselves, because we solve real problems in their research. And so we're very excited. And now it's from 1 to 0. With this round, I think we'll try to make a proper product. And this is where we take it from 1 to 100.
Fantastic. David, you know, the difference between you and me, even with both investors, that you can test what you guys are saying with the machine, right? Go into the lab and see if it really works. And I probably can move some liquids around, but probably the result's going to be very different. What is your take on that? How you see this SPC technology? How is it a real breakthrough, as yours is saying, from your point of view?
Well, funny you say that, because when I visited the lab in Lithuania, I was actually able to follow a little bit of a demo and generate these SPCs myself, which was sort of the highlight of the trip. I do believe it's a real breakthrough because, in the space of tools, which to Jus's point is the field that generates and develops new instruments, kind of like the next generations of microscopes that allow scientists to make the next biological insights and breakthroughs. The field moves forward by being able to do things and observe things that they were not able to before. So many say the field is bottlenecked by new tools. And when I look at SPCs, these semi-permeable capsules, it's immediately obvious that you can now run experiments, make measurements that previously weren't possible. We'll get into these specific applications, but whether it's high throughput single cell whole genome sequencing to high throughput cell-to-cell interactions, these has been kind of the holy grail of the field, but there was no technical path towards getting there because we were fixated on the mindset based on the tools we had available today, like the microplates, the droplets, and so on and so forth. So SPCs really unlocked that new layer, I would say. And, it all ties to how I learned about the company, which are, talking to the key opinion leaders here in the States who, wouldn't stop raving about it. And that's a whole another story that, I think back to quite often.
Yeah, I think we're going to come to that story, right? And, the occasion why we're talking here, right, guys, is exactly that Lux invested a round of 25 million into the company, which really, right, it's really fantastic in many ways, because, I probably will not exaggerate saying that it's the biggest round in deep tech or biotech or life science field in our region, at least in the last 5-7 years, right? So it's good stuff. Congratulations on that. David, I'm going to continue with you, right? Lux, as you mentioned, right? You guys investing into cutting edge is something super cool, and you see probably most innovative life science companies across the globe. And suddenly you're here, right, investing in a Lithuanian company, Atrandi. I think we need to hear the story, how you found this, why you found it, and what's so exciting about that for you to lead the round.
I think we often say great technology and breakthroughs can come from anywhere. And, on one hand, we wish we had a reach in every single region in the world, but, unlike you, we didn't have as much of a, active presence in Lithuania and scouring for every company coming out of it. So the question begets, how do we learn about Atrandi? And I really credit to my dear friends who are, professors and academics, especially one in the Seattle, Washington system that I would often go for advice, asking about different technologies and what he thought about them. And he said, there's one really compelling technology that I've been working with, and I think this is really the next big thing. We're about to publish many papers on the basis of this. And it is crazy that not enough people are talking about it, even though so many scientists and academic leaders across the U.S. are already in the process of adopting it and getting excited about it. And I thought, I had a pretty good reach on all the different companies in the space. How come I don't know about it? And that's when I found out the headquarters of Vilnius, Lithuania. And that actually piqued my interest because it meant that there might be folks that aren't looking where we are willing to look. So immediately got a phone with Joseph maybe 4 days after that, going through the technology, and I couldn't believe it after that first call of what they were able to accomplish and saying. I always joke, it's funny how US companies present their companies and their prospects versus companies in Lithuania. In the US, they like to over exaggerate every single thing, whether it's the metric or the promise and the reaction. And I was struck by Josef's candor on perhaps to a large of an extent on going through all the pros and cons. And I thought, okay, this really has the great potential to be the next big thing in our space. So really, it was through the network of key opinion leaders. It was a phone calls I made to various academics across institutions in America, UCSF, the Broad Institute, University of Washington, and many other core labs that were raving about it. It had the highest NPS score for a Series A company, or really a seed stage company at the time. So, it was a bit of a no-brainer in ourselves to take it really seriously.
That's a great story. And Joseph, probably turning to you, as we've been working on tactics of fundraising, it seems there are some lessons to draw here, right? And I don't know, maybe we can, I'm pretty sure we're going to have a couple of founders listening to us, to our talk here. What would be your advice, right, especially for deep tech life science founders, being in a station as you being a couple of years ago and thinking about next level fundraising from a pro investors in the field? So out of what we learned out of this process?
Yeah, I think it's, the textbook advice still holds. It's focus on the product and not on the fundraising, and, build a thing that people would want to buy at the end of the day, right? And the rest will follow. Easy to say, not necessarily so easy to do in deep tech. But I think in our case, and I think for many deep tech founders, we built the technologies and solutions that we would want to use ourselves in the labs, right? Because we still remember ourselves doing the experiments and ourselves facing the bottlenecks. And probably many people who will start businesses in an area that they're passionate about will follow the same path. Build something you yourself will love. And I think what I would give as an advice to people in our region specifically is to be more confident, that whatever you're building can actually be interesting to people globally, and do not be afraid to show it. Because I think this is where American ecosystem shines. Is, well, you have to do a bit of self-promotion, right? And you have to be not afraid to write an email to a super big professor and say, look at this, it's maybe an interesting technology. So it took us a while really to get over ourselves and to get confident in doing this. Well, this is where it got us so far. And very happy about it. I don't think we could have gotten here much earlier because development still takes time. Bringing things to sort of usable stage still takes time, and it's another of these lessons where In deep tech in particular, you shouldn't rush the development, because I think you have only one chance to launch, and you have only one chance to make the first impression. So when you ship your technology or your prototype to someone else, it's a make or break kind of moment. So better do it when you're confident, when things work. And for us, it took actually about 4 years to get SPC Technology to a stage where we're confident shipping it to people, and saying, please test this and give us your feedback. And it's still, there's still a lot of development on a product roadmap left.
That's very good advice, and thanks to us for that, right? Guys, we touched that academia, key opinion leaders, right, different institutes and universities in the United States, knowing the tool and understanding the tool. So right now, Atrandi tools are mainly used by research institutions, right? And of course, they do the breakthrough, they go into deep things. What would be the application, broader application? How we see that? What is the next step for this technology? How we can see that in daily, or clinical setting, or a healthcare system setting? Or what is your user's take on that? How you see that?
Right. My camera just broke down, but
you're back.
There we
That's
go.
good.
I'm back. All right. So it's a good question. I think one thing to understand is no matter how eager and aggressive we are, each technology must go through the maturation stages. And so being in early stage research is a place where we have to start. There's no shame in that. It's really a collaboration effort with the key opinion leaders, where they guide the applications and they guide the development, because they have a vision probably better than we do where this could go long term. I think on a very sort of high level picture, the way I see healthcare ecosystem, that's fundamental research, which gives us a lot of insights about mechanisms of diseases, potential drug targets, and the drugs themselves. And drugs here is a broad category. It can be small molecules, it can be therapies like gene therapy. Then we have the doctors, which are able to prescribe these amazing new treatments to patients. But the missing link is diagnostics. And I think this is another area that's really defined by the technology stack. In other words, we can only measure what the best tools allow us to measure. And the reality is that the technology stack in the diagnostics hasn't evolved drastically over the last decade or so. And it typically will lag a decade or two behind what's possible in the lab. So in 10 years, I would expect, hopefully sooner, but realistically in 5 to 10 years, I would expect capsules powering some of the diagnostic tests. And this is what is going to truly bring us to precision medicine. So in other words, once we can really measure each patient at the confidence level, the very high confidence level, such that we can tell two humans apart, because at the end of the day, we're all 99.999% similar, right, on a genetic level. Yet still, we look very different, we behave very differently, and we have different diseases, or the diseases manifest differently. So there is something that causes these differences. And we need a technology that's able to deliver the measurement of that difference. And capsules, I think, can solve some of the issues there, can address some of the questions. Capsules give, or capsule-based workflows give a lot of data, but this is where generative AI and just generally large data set interpretation science comes into effect. So I think as everything will converge in the next 10 years or so, we'll see proper emergence of precision medicine, and we hope to be part of that.
Great to hear that, right? David, I will want to continue on this topic a little bit with you, right? And bear with me, it's a bit longer question. Once we established the connection to Atrandi and Lux with you, right? I was on the Atrandi side, being kind of talking with users about things, what you guys saying, how you position yourself, right? And what we loved from it, probably first minute, the level of ambition, right? You kind of radiated towards us, right? Saying, hey guys, that's so many things we can do, right? With this technology, with this company, there's no kind of limit, right? In many ways. And that was very kind of empowering and very fresh in many ways. So what is your view into that? How we can continue, right? And what is, next things for Atrandi in the sense where we can go. Precision medicine, yes, it's, I clearly hear what you were saying. What is your take on that? How you see that? You being American here, you being most ambitious and and brave. So please share it with us.
Wouldn't say that far. I'm always amazed by, speaking with Josis and the folks over in Lithuania on their scale of ambition as well. I think it's quite rare to see a technology and company like Atrandi. I mean, we see a number of companies innovating in tools all the time, and it's actually quite rare for us to commit to a lead like in this situation. And it's because I think there's often three ingredients for success in this particular business of life sciences tools. Number one, and most foremost, you need to be able to generate new insights. The whole field of biology is all about finding new discoveries and insights, and the tools are critical for getting there. But, many times over, the new tools people are developing are somewhat incremental. Maybe you're seeing the same things more efficiently, maybe at a lower cost, but fundamentally you're seeing the same thing you're able to see before. And what's quite striking about Atrandi is that you now can see things you weren't able to before, whether it's the whole genome of a population of cells. Today, we can only do a small amount. You can now do a whole genome population of cells with Atrandi, combination of DNA and RNA at a high throughput scale. Things that just simply weren't possible. And, this is a key necessary ingredient that is quite rare. The second aspect I think that makes Atrandi special and, fits into the criteria is its accessibility. When you think about a new tool being introduced into the ecosystem, and to my previous point that great science comes from anywhere, you want the tool adopted all across the country, across different domains of science. And, when you have an instrument that is, pretty inaccessible because maybe it's too expensive, it's, $500,000 million, which very few labs can obtain, or maybe it's really difficult to use. It breaks down every other time, or it requires 3 months of training. Neither of these things make you feel like a lot of people are going to use it and then therefore generate new biological insights. But here it's super easy to use. This is a feedback that we consistently heard from KOLs to say, yeah, we trained immunologists for 2 weeks. I mean, geez, even I could make these SPCs when I was in Lithuania, so the bar is low. And the second part also is that they figured out a way to make these instruments quite accessible from a price point perspective too. So that really clears out the second part. So it can generate new insights, it's easy to use, and it's quite accessible. I think that is a formula for viral success. And supplementing that was just the rave reviews from KOLs. I mean, you often see scientists. Scientists are very picky. I mean, they've got a high bar when it comes to adopting anything new. So when they're telling me that, oh, this is, something I'm trying to get all of my grad students to adopt, I'm telling other labs about this, and you see this high, NPS for a company at the stage, that to me just screams that this could be the next viral technology that gets adopted. So, those three elements, I think, really allow for the large upside. Now, tactically, what does that mean for kind of the path there? First of all, it's getting this wide and far for scientists to make new discoveries, because adoption is going to follow new insights. When a competitor lab finds that their other lab discovered this novel thing using Atrandi's services, they'll say, okay, we have to do it too. And this kind of spreads quite rapidly. And the culmination of that is generation of more and more and more insights. Now, every once in a while, one of these biological insights become actionable. For example, you might say that we found a novel insight around this rare blood cancer, and using Atrandi's device, we are able to subset, which of these patients have a more aggressive form of disease, or maybe better respond to a certain kind of treatment. And then that insight that is now actionable can be, incorporated into a diagnostic criteria when it comes to treatment selection or patient detection and stratification and whatnot. And over the course of time, one of these insights, sooner than later, could be further actionable as a therapeutic insight where, we learned something so novel about a disease that we now have a new way of intervening where, in the case of Atrandi, one element that I won't get too deep into now is uncovering somatic mutations that you're not born with, but it happens over the course of your lifetime, maybe after a injury or just a developmental stage. And it is becoming glaringly clear that these somatic mutations can drive disease. But the problem is that we can't see these somatic mutations. We have very little tools for it. And this is an area that Atrandi can really thrive in. And once they discover these with scientists that use it, discover these actionable insights, then I think that can unlock a generation of therapeutics and therapeutic company that can be really transformative for care and industry. And to serve that purpose, we think, we sell brushes to artists that are the scientists here, and supporting them as much as possible and along the journey.
It's a huge impact, right? Potentially. It's very, very interesting to discuss that. And guys, question for both of you, right? More discussion on a question. We cannot touch AI, right now. So being in this time of the year and at this year of age, in a way. So AI, are we going to be enhanced by AI? Are we major part of kind of computational biology and AI plus what Atrandi is doing is just explosion in additional innovations? What is your take on that? How and why is going to happen with AI and Atrandi?
So it's always me starting, but okay. Yeah, it's a tricky question because I think we're very early in AI and biology, and some applications are immediately clear, and that's in protein science, right? Protein structures, predicting new novel proteins. But we need not forget that protein science and collecting data on proteins, it's like 30, 40 years in the making. So it's a great database to start from. Now, in other areas, let's say modeling the cell, which is, I think, the holy grail of biology, having an artificial cell model and querying it and getting answers as if as if you were performing an experiment. That is probably still quite far away. And I think what we're learning right now that biology is so varied that we need such huge data sets, and it has to be of really high quality before we can really leverage large models and create these biological models. So when we look into the center of biology and we ask ourselves, how can we best contribute? We feel it's by enabling people to really get those new next generation data sets, to really construct data sets that capture a lot of biological variability. And here I'll just kind of refer back to the very beginning. It's then a question of throughput and complexity of measurement, right? You want to measure as many cells, as many samples as possible, and you want to go as deep as possible. So I think David is putting it very nicely, giving brushes to the artists. We like to put it more crudely. It's giving shovels to people who are mining for gold. No shovels, no gold. So that's how we see ourselves. Now, obviously, there is a longer term play here. If you are in a position to provide that kind of data, then you are in a unique position to create data repositories and somehow monetize or use them. I don't have a clear idea of what is useful and how to best approach it, because I don't think anyone really in the field has that answer just yet. We are very convinced that capsules enable really complex measurements, way beyond of what's possible today, and it is in our product roadmap. And so our approach is to focus on that and try not to distract ourselves from the noise, if I can put it so bluntly, that's happening around us. And sure, there will be early winners of kind of picking the low-hanging fruit, but us and the deep tech was always try to solve difficult problems. So that's what we'll stick to doing. I'm sure AI will be a part of that. I mean, truth be said, we use AI in our instruments. This is probably machine learning. This AI is a bit of a buzzword, so I'll refrain from using it. But we see what's happening. We try to integrate into that ecosystem, but in my view, we're still in the early days. And I'm very curious to hear what David has to say to this.
All right. Well, as a USVC, I cannot refrain from using buzzwords, so I will call it AI. I want to make a point, and bear with me as I make 3 points that culminate to why I think AI will be, really empowering, and vice versa with Atrandi. The first point I want to make is AI is going to transform the way we think about biology and study biology. Physics, for example, is a domain where you can really distill these complex phenomena into these elegant equations, and they can explain so much of the world. But biology doesn't really follow those pretty patterns. It's truly irreducibly complex at every stage of the way. So even though, you and I can try to talk about how protein A hits protein B, hits protein C, and that's what happens, really under the hood in biology, there's so much happening that you and I cannot communicate. And I think this is where AI can really come in to think about biology in a totally different way, where you are able to capture all the complexity that is going on in a single, even a seemingly simple phenomena that AI can distill. And this is going to be especially relevant as we're generating a lot of data sets, biological data sets, and AI can now convert those data sets to novel insights that many scientists today staring at these data sets might not be able to pick up. So point number one is that AI is going to be critical and a step function in converting biological data sets to insights. The second point I'm then going to make is that if that's the case, then the increasing bottleneck in discovering new biology is not the ability to generate insights from data sets, but in the generation of such data sets that will need to generate more data. And, one critical consideration here is that, of course, the way you can do it is to just keep generating data the way that we are doing right now. But it also necessitates the need to develop new type of methods that can generate new types of data or data in a different way at a higher scale. Here's an analogy that, my friend Sanjay told me about that I really love. If you think about the development of AI technology itself, it's obviously on one hand, innovation in compute. The development of the transformer architecture and so on and so forth has been critical. But it's equally an innovation in hardware, the GPU technology that allowed these transformers and machine learning architecture to really be able to go through the training process that led to the LLMs today. And the analogy here is that AI is a layer that can now interpret the data, but we are increasingly being bottlenecked by the hardware of biology, which are the experiments. As in, yes, you can have a very powerful AI, but if you're working with, teeny GPUs, or in this case, small scale experiments, you really don't get a lot of insights. But if you're able to develop new ways of measurements at a higher scale, then the AI can finally shine in generating new insights. So our field, I think, in AI for biology is really going to be increasingly bottlenecked by new ways of measurement, which brings to the third point that this is going to be perhaps the most critical bottleneck and frontier for discovering new biology is the ability to measure things we weren't able to before and to do it at higher scales. And I think that's what Atrandi, fully delivers in a way that is not incremental, such as many other, work we've seen before. that's going to catalyze the use of AI in biology. So we think Atrandi is going to be a critical ingredient for AI to biology to actually deliver the value that it promises. So,
David, thanks a lot for quite detailed answer, and I think I feel even better now.
Well, we also have to build the tools and then deliver. So it's not, it's not a done thing, I will say. But,
Nobody is talking about done things here, Joseph. Come on, we're talking here about the future, about the potential, about what we can do, right? And the done things is the round it happened and the resources you got to come to get this vision to life, right? And to bring it to the world. So yeah, it's very good to hear. Okay, guys, let's turn. We covered the vision. We covered potential. I loved it at all. Let's come back a little bit to basics. Let's call it like that, right? Big round, 25 mil, right? And it's a lot of resources. A lot of things could be done with that. So maybe a question to you, others, right? Us being in Lithuania, right? And we really can say that probably the dollar can do more here than in other parts of the world where biotechnology is big. What is your plans here? Let's give a message to all the nerds and geeks of life science here in the region who might want to join our mission, Atrandi mission, and maybe want to join you in doing the things. So what is the plans? What do you want to do? How much we're going to grow in team size? What tactical things we're just going to do? Just share a little bit what you can.
Yeah, well, so I'll start from being not too modest and saying that we're probably one of the more interesting places to work if you love technology, because at the end of the day, we develop hardware and we develop chemicals, we develop consumables, so molecular biology, and we develop software. And it all has to somehow integrate together, has to be manufactured, and it has to be sold. So there's a lot of complexity in an organization, and we're going to expand all of that. Initially focusing on increasing our R&D capacity, and so that's engineering and molecular biology. So there's actually a lot of openings there. In the pretty immediate future, we're also expanding our production capacity because we have products, we need to make them. And last but really not least is the commercial aspect. So there's really opportunities all across the board, and the funding will be used all across the board as well. So the way we see it over the next couple of years, we have a very exciting product roadmap that we want to deliver on. So there's a lot of product development and production, kind of putting it in the production left to do. We also want to be closer to our clients, which in other words means expanding our commercial team, both in Europe and in US. So these are kind of the two main verticals that on a tactical level we're gonna be pursuing. And I could go very deep on this, but I don't want to use too much of a time. I think there's really a lot of openings right now. So for anyone interested in the company, I invite to check LinkedIn. Be it in Lithuania, be it in Europe, be it in the US. So we're really a global company. And we hire people both for in the office and fully remote positions. So it's all across the board. Very excited about the developments in computational biology, in engineering, in molecular biology. But I'm a scientist by training, so that's what excites me. On the US side, I think on the US side, it's primarily commercial people. And I'm very much looking forward to expanding the team there. We're opening an office in the US sometime in the near future. So there's going to be a home base. There's a lot of people going back and forth between Lithuania and US. So the culture is strong. We want to show Lithuanian hospitality to people in the US. And that's the plan in the immediate future.
Very good, very good. And I'm being Lithuanian, right? And the question, kind of provocative, yours question, and David, for you. So, is Lithuania a great place to start? That's something amazing in biotech and in business. What is your take?
Yeah, I think it's an amazing place. There's a lot of historical pedigree in Lithuania as far as life sciences goes. We have really big companies. Thermo Fisher has literally its largest site in the whole world as far as it goes to production and R&D. So Vilnius is, there on the map, and it's very interesting. I repeat this every time I'm asked this question, but it totally blows my mind that every third or second person I talk to in the US in the industry knows Vilnius or even has been to Vilnius, So it's really on the map as far as industrial biotech goes. When we think about innovation, we're very strong in life sciences. In fact, CRISPR technology was co-invented and co-developed out of Vilnius, right? So that's a testament that the main invention of a 21st century, at least so far, CRISPR, we're on the map there as well. And we're just, a very small country, 3 million people, not even. So it's a great place to start business. What people overlook often is that Lithuania is a tightly integrated ecosystem. So you need top-notch engineering. It's here. People develop world-class lasers here. You need manufacturing. Well, hey, people make Boeing and Airbus parts here. So you can get really, space-grade manufacturing done locally. You need software developed. Well, there's an amazing IT ecosystem here. So everything is available at your fingertips. And when you talk about deep tech, I think it's a very unique place on the globe right now, where you can find everything in a very, very small location. So probably somewhat similar to Silicon Valley as we imagine it in romanticized, late 90s or even before that time.
It's a very positive view. Thanks for that, Joseph. David, I'm coming back to you, right? As investor to investor right now. I'm sure you invested in the company and you see a potential, and we discussed that a lot here. And thank you very much for being so open and very, very kind of detailed in your answers. What do you think is a couple main things in next 5 years for Atrandi to achieve in order to continue be on the forefront and continue to create shareholders value also as innovation and impact for in the field what we're doing? What is your investor view into that?
I think it's discovering new biology. I really like Josef's point, analogy of we sell shovels to miners to discover new gold. And here, the miners are scientists that then take our tools to discover gold, which here is new biology and new insights. I think we want to empower scientists as much as possible. We want to ensure that we have the capacity to serve more scientists by getting our instruments out there, getting our kits out there, and to galvanize a field to, discover things in somatic mosaicism or cancer heterogeneity or functional genomics or cell-cell interactions, and, allowing them to generate the insights, really being a guiding hand when they need it, and to really help facilitate converting some of those actionable insights into new diagnostic and therapeutic. I think, that's both the goal for our contribution to the life sciences field, which I think is actually very aligned with the financial outcome of Atrandi, which is, again, quite simple. No tricks here. The more biology we allow scientists to discover, the better our company will do. And as part of that, we also want to keep innovating, not rest on our laurels with the instruments and the tools that we have, but to keep innovating to deliver new functionalities and capabilities to our users and scientists and technicians and so on and so forth. And that's going to be critical for our enduring growth and company.
Very good. Yes, it's very clear.
Yeah, exactly. So develop the products that you would want to use as a scientist yourself. It's always a balance between, do we actually keep developing or do we start using them? But don't get high on your own supply. That's what we keep telling you.
Yeah, basics works all the time. That's amazing. That's really good. Really good. Okay, guys. 5 years from now, right? Okay, no, I'll start differently, right? So making predictions is always not great. It's very hard. Who would predict the current political station in the world? Probably no way. But let's not go into that position. So 5 years from now, or maybe 5-6 years from now, Atrandi, how we see that. So where we are, Joseph, where we are as a company, where are you as a leader of a company, and what is your prediction on this? We're going to do this in 5 years, actually.
Yeah.
So we're going to do the same podcast, guys.
Yeah, so two things. First of all, 5 years is not necessarily a very long time for a deep tech business. So, that's one. And two, I'll not share a prediction, but I'll maybe share where we want to be. And where we want to be, it's really empowering new discoveries and seeing new biology, coming out of the use of our tools. So in other words, it's just kind of repeating what David said. But I really believe we can do that, and I'm very excited about our product roadmap. So we have still quite a few very interesting things that are about to come out in the next 2-3 years. And I think once those things hit the market, they will really complete the workflow and really start enabling completely new insights. And then it'll take a couple of years for things to really pick up and start accelerating. So kind of a snowball effect. And I think what this will culminate into, hopefully a bit earlier than 5 years, but probably not sooner than 3 years, is new scientific consortia being founded on the basis of what we enable. So it's really many scientists coming together and saying, let's remap the human body, right? Let's resequence every cell, because now the tools allow us to get an even better picture. And it has been done time and time again, right? What kickstarted the century of biology is sequencing human genome. What we had about 10 years ago is sequencing transcriptomes of the active part of a human genome on a scale of really billions of single cells. So you take every human, you try to sequence different samples, try to understand the complexity. And in 3 years, I see these efforts breathing new life into them, and new consortia starting on the back of what we and our community of scientists can enable.
Very good. David, how you see Atrandi in 5 years? What is your take on that?
Oh man, in 5 years, I mean, we have AGI robots walking around, serving us coffee and pina coladas on the beach. Whatever could happen. But to talk about Atrandi in 5 years, or maybe if I take that further in 10, 15, 20 years even, I can see this becoming such a fundamental unit in biotech. Of course, in the near term, we're going to enable specific type of assays that we, can really serve our customers around. But, you're going to see all sorts of creative applications from people that we never really even thought about. I mean, the people who invented DNA sequencing and commercialized it through companies like Illumina did not expect that, for example, that technology will be used for RNA sequencing, let alone single-cell RNA sequencing in the founding days. And I think we're in a bit of a similar boat where, we have views on the way people will use our technology, but we're not going to beat the creativity of the millions of scientists all across the world. So we'll be learning a lot from that. And beyond that, in the long term, I can see semi-permeable capsules becoming a pretty fundamental aspect of every lab, where similar to how we used to have these small plates, now you have 384 microwell plates, and then some people use droplets. I think semi-permeable capsule is the natural evolution from that. So, from the most basic experiments to the complex experiments, I can see people using that, atop of semi-permeable capsules.
It's a great future ahead. We'll check that in 5, maybe 10 years. We'll see how it goes. Guys, we're already almost 55 minutes on air, and probably I'm going to use these last couple of minutes for sales messages for each of us, right? So, Joseph, you already done some of the pitch, and very happy to support that, right? So every talented life science professional wanting to do something really cool, I think should connect to Josef's LinkedIn. David, for you, now, this is not the first investment in the region of Lux, right? You've done something in the past also, but first deep tech and life science investment. And we have companies now, maybe early stage, up and coming also. I hope you're going to be more in the region. You're going to be visible more in the region. You're going to hopefully going to do more in the region in coming years. What's the best way to reach you?
Please reach out. I would love to chat. We often say, you know, opportunity begets one another. So I find it so fortuitous and grateful to have found you two and collaborating with you guys. And I see it as an inroad to do more in that region. As I mentioned, great technological breakthroughs come from anywhere. So we are excited to be expanding into that area and doing more. And so would love to see, you know, companies all the way from an idea behind of a napkin coming out of an academic lab to more established companies. We're open for business, so would love to meet and, you know, connect with folks, especially as I visit Lithuania more often to hang out with, you know, you two and the company.
I'll make sure that, you know, we're going to definitely have some connections and meetings with our life science community back in the Baltics, and probably 20 seconds of sales for me. So early stage founders, really early stage companies, please ping me. You know, I'm happy to invest in most of the cases, right? So thanks for that. Okay, I think we're going to be wrapping up here, and I need to say thank you, very, very big thanks to Juozas, very, very big thanks to David. I think it was amazing, guys. The level of nerdiness was acceptable, I would say like that. Probably next time can be a bit, yeah, we could do even more, a bit more. But it was very, very insightful, very, very interesting, very, very, very good, guys. You know, I'm not kind of joking here. It's really good to hear these things. I'm super proud being Lithuanian and talking about Lithuanian company today, right? And about these things which comes to yours head, David, to your head, and you know how we see the future, how we draw this picture of impact and what can be done. And you know, I know different things going to happen. Probably we cannot imagine most of the things what can happen, but even if just half of it's going to be true in next 10 years, I think it's going to be amazing. So thanks a lot, and it was amazing to have you here. Thank you, guys.
Really awesome to do this with you guys.
Exactly.